Hi guys, today we're going to look at a sample chapter from the new Heavenly Realms book Wayfarers by Jonathan Goss. Chapter 17, Serpents in the Garden. How do you spy on the spy masters? How do you subvert the espionage instructors? You don't, at least not entirely and not alone. All we could play on was their conjoined weakness, their feeling of neglect. Suffice it to say that after the prank on Lucifer, my days as a janitor were over. No one trusted me, so getting on the cleaning staff at the Citadel was right out. I was, however, recalled to my old boot-shining glory days. Tempest had a whole wing of a floor to himself per his request. Tempest never relished the community. Solitude would be his undoing, and with me being a seraph, it would take some digging to find me on the record books. However, he still knows the angels of echo in his sparse room, so installing the listening device took time. The spool of wire here, a silver disc there, access to the crawl space that leads to the maintenance shafts, and a carved out entry point between the walls periodically. It was weeks before I was set up. By the time I was ready, my commission had nearly expired. The cherubim called the angels assigned my job bootlickers, and were not shy about paying us heed only when they wanted to make sport of us, often using our shoe polish for their pranks. So needless to say, I was more than happy to vanish a day or two before I was to report for reassignment. Like rats in the walls, I gathered my gear and slinked away to my listening post in the seams of the superstructure. It was not long before the fruits of this labour bore harvesting. The cavernous marble-floored citadel was empty and silent, despite the trespassing of Orion down the hall, no doubt walking under the unshuttered windows to avoid intercepting the cascades of afternoon sunlight. Two soft knocks on the dormitory's cubit-thick, round heartwood door and his inn. I heard him exchanging pleasantries over the rustle of Tempest assembling clothes and kit into his rucksack. He told his twin that he's leaving for a few days on business of paramount importance. I heard arms cross and Orion slink up to him. That's a lot of heavy equipment for ambiguity, Tempest. You know Michael is down in the Academy's courtyards now, talking with Althaziel. This much was news to me. At the time, Michael was laid up from a mysterious burning accident in the valley. Still, it did me well to know that he was with the Chief Weapons Master. Althaziel was the master of both the arming sword and the warrior ethos. Devoid of vanity but rife with honour, he would never brag about his skill or strength even in jest. But vanity was rampant in the Fallen's ranks, and our brave Althaziel is a minority who, in his derangement, would succumb to a scourge, the addiction to contumelies, a malady rendering him a pilgarlic. I'm not worried about it, Tempest rebuffs. Still, that's quite a kit for a weekend jaunt. A miser must prepare for the dig, he says prophetically. And the bounty? Tempest sighs. Haven't you ever wondered what lies beyond the veil, Orion? They talk of liberation from this shackled realm, a subject Orion regards as dangerous. We should remember our place. Besides, I'd hardly call this shackled, Tempest. It reminds him that God's glory is our beacon and hope. That last word is sneered at by Tempest. He seeks a loftier calling. Orion pleads a remembrance for his thankfulness, eliciting a hissed, "Why?" from his brother. Because it's Father's decree, he says with a guarded chuckle. We cannot go against the power of the Almighty. And why is that? Tempest's tone is one of scholarly inquisition. Because we are but mites next to His Majesty. To rage against this gale is futile. We don't have the power to stand up to our Holy Father. Besides, why would we want to? Tempest reminds him of the looks that the other cherubim cast in the wake of their scandalous reputation.
They skulk and gossip at our backs because our craft is one of subterfuge and not the mindless line-fighting Michael so reveres. Their eye-sent daggers in our backs dig deeper because they know how necessary our art is.
Orion admits Father's lack of involvement demoralizes him. Tempest has no trouble playing on that, calling it unjust.
You go too far, my friend,
Orion tells Tempest.
Do I? Our power warrants a denied infamy.
He asks if this is not the call for recourse of infidelity. I hear Orion spring from his lean, raspy voice orbiting Tempest as he admits his pain.
But if you could,
Tempest begins slowly,
if you had the power to deny his authority and make for yourself a new existence, would you?
We must not speak of this, the other halfway begs.
It is just innocent converse, Orion. There is no harm in this discussion, is there?
There's a beat. I have existed with you since the forming of our flesh, Tempest. I know when you are merely carving the clouds, and I know when you are summoning the lightning.
And what does this strike you as?
I think you are brewing a cauldron of thunderheads, Tempest. I hear the two begin to circle each other, both gliding across the carpeted marble floor with unmatched grace. The air nearly ionizes.
But what if we could make our own destiny and claim the glory we were so unjustly deprived?
Tempest muses.
Would it not be worth any price?
Don't dangle that carrot in front of me, brother, Orion replies, still pacing the floor around his twin. You know as well as I that there is nothing we could ever do to achieve full recognition. Only God has the power to honor us with that.
Does he? Let me put it another way then. What of our grand patriarch Lucifer? Could he not order us to be exalted for the powerful beings that we are?
Orion emits a hesitant, almost sinister laugh. No, not unless Father allowed it.
And will you wait around all eternity for that?
Orion says he's not holding his breath.
Ah, Tempest nods. And so we come to it at last.
Orion freezes in his orbit. Come to what, Tempest? What are you getting at?
We have toiled and labored in silence for long enough. My brother, I can show you the path to glories unmatched, to reverence by our lessers and admiration from our contemporaries. We do everything for the glory of Father, but will that be enough to save us in the end, especially in light of these new revelations?
You're talking about humanity, Orion realizes. No, I have not heard this argument before, Tempest. Man will not interfere with God's plans for our kind. But it sounds like he's halfway saying it to convince himself. I must cling to the notion that he still loves us.
I have no question that he still loves us,
Tempest admits readily.
But how much?
I fear his footfalls close the distance with his twin brother.
Will it be enough to console our disenfranchised spirits or mend our broken hearts?
You think they will inherit the kingdom and we will be left to polish the marble?
I don't know,
Tempest says casually.
But I know that we are meant for greater things than this. Our place is in the stars, Orion, not wrapped in this sinewy husk. We are ethereal, eternal, epic, luminous. I hardly consider this realm of matter and substance to be worthy of our containment. Don't you feel trapped?
Orion sighed. Like a tiger in a cage, he laments. But we asked for this mantle and now we must wear it.
Says who?
God queries.
God? The three?
He let out an insidious laugh.
And what does it matter what they say?
Orion takes a step back. Tempest mirrors him in pursuit.
Think on it, Orion. What does it matter what they want? What they think? We're powerful in our own right. Let the universe itself be our playground. We could own it if we wished.
But that would be...
Blasphemy?
Tempest interrupts with a whisper.
Treachery. Scandalous treason against the White Throne. Yes, but there are those among us who've found a way to achieve it.
Who?
Come and find out.
Tempest replies flippantly.
Come on, you want glory just as much as I do. I have found a way to achieve it, and I am extending my hand to the one angel I want to share it with. Come with me, and we will see the dawn of a new era.
What guarantee do you have? Orion asks.
None save the advent of power. Seizing it is up to each alone. The strongest among us are preparing to forge into this new epoch even as we speak. Do not hesitate, or you will miss it. And I cannot imagine a realm of perfection absent my closest brother. I would hate for you not to be there. What joy would it be then?
But it defies the principle of glorifying God. How can you possibly justify it?
Haven't you been listening?
Tempest's voice rises.
God is power. Power is God. If we retain and gather for ourselves power, then what does that make us?
More than we already have.
Unfathomably more,
Tempest proclaims.
The inexhaustible power to forge our own destinies without having to grovel before our Creator and ask his divine permission. What benevolent pleasure, Orion! We would be free to do anything, and the power that is now denied to us would be readily at hand. We would become God. Imagine that feeling. Glory, praise, power, and all the things that have been so unjustly denied to us.
Orion leans against the armoire. No one cares about our exploits, Tempest. We do so much, we're experts in those combat yards, but no one so much as thanks us at the end of the day. I have expended myself for this choir and the seraphim, and the rewards are fleeting at best. Nothing more than an under-the-table handshake or quiet thanks from a departing angel. I have never felt so unappreciated.
Hurts, doesn't it?
Tempest says softly. It's as if they despise and mock us for our talent, Orion spits.
I know, Tempest seethes. They eye us with contempt, even Michael. It is as if we are tolerated only because they need us.
It makes me... Orion chokes on his anger. It makes me almost wish for the Western Empire. As soon as that heresy leaves his lips, Orion clenched his teeth.
And that is exactly what I am offering you.
Tempest's tone is as firm as bedrock. For a minute both stood, gauging each other in cold silence. Neither moved an inch.
But I am offering you more than just that, Orion.
He approaches his twin with a slinking delicacy.
They will love and revere you as you deserve, my constellation. I promise you that. Abandon this despotism and fulfill your true potential.
We will be as the stars, Orion says dreamily.
As bright as the morning star himself,
Tempest affirms. And what a father. What will he say? To that Tempest laughs.
Father has allowed his children to outgrow him. He will be powerless to stop us.
How? How can you be sure? The other asks, still fending off waves of fraternal ire born from memories of ridicule.
Because,
Tempest reassures,
he will be cast into the oblivion.
Orion strangles on those words, paralyzed with shock. What? Tempest regards him with a look of casual plainness, as if it were a simple, ordinary fact. Can't we just leave? His brother shakes his head.
No, he will never let us leave. He must have his crown sundered and be brought low.
This madness, who could do such a thing? Tempest smiles, answering Orion's quizzical expression with one of sympathetic wisdom.
Why, our morning star, of course.
The rumors are true, Orion mumbles. Lucifer has fulfilled the prophecy. Tempest nods.
Absolutely, and the irony is that we, who have trained all the others and sworn to defend the White Throne, are the very ones who see the truth in the dragon's breath.
You cannot mean that, Tempest, Orion protests, rising from his half-seat on the armoire. Tempest grabs him by the upper arm and sequestered him with a dexterous grip, staying the confrontational rise of his friend. Are you serious? Orion stammers.
To grasp at the heavens for ownership of the stars? Yes,
Tempest reiterates.
I am sincere.
Orion shifts on his padded soles. Tempest, we have been inseparable since the cornerstone of the Western Empire was laid. But if you choose to travel down the path of insurrection, you will find only darkness and isolation. To that, Tempest can only laugh. How blind his poor brother was.
Do you truly think that will happen, Orion?
He asked mockingly. His twin only nods earnestly.
Fine,
Tempest relents.
But at least I will be in the company of peers, and of course, you will be there,
he says casually. Orion holds his silent vigil. Tempest's mirth drowns in the realization that Orion is not in accord.
You are coming with me, aren't you?
Orion shakes his head. Tempest steps back, nearly tripping over his bedpost.
I am offering you a chance of everything you've ever wanted, he insists. Orion, I hold in my hands the keys to glorious recognition and praise for your exploits. All you must do is follow me. I will lead you there.
His voice quakes with emotion. It clearly gouges his heart to think that Orion will not comply.
How stubborn can you be, brother?
He shouts.
I am giving you what you seek. The veil is lifted.
But at what cost? Orion asks. Separation from God. And if we fail, what then? The burning hells?
We won't fail,
Tempest says sternly. Orion slithers out from his twin's grasp and glides across the floor, his eyes ever locked onto Tempest. When he reaches the doorframe, he's stopped. It is not worth the price, he states. Tempest's breath is fuming, nearly paralyzed with anger.
So you are content to live in this fetid husk, suffering cruel injustice until the day you return to the ethereal planes?
A realm without God, Tempest, the other admits, is inconceivable.
Your cowardice is inconceivable,
Tempest shoots back.
I'm offering you a chance at limitless power and infamy, and you would deny it.
What you are seeking is heresy, Tempest.
Only while he sits on that throne,
the cherubic master of assassins hisses, lobbing a gesture in the direction of the temple.
Without Father, there would be no heresy, there would be no treason. The only heresy we could commit would be to ourselves. Is that not a life you wish to create?
And thrive in? Orion asked rhetorically.
Yes, thrive in,
Tempest says energetically.
No more of this placid facade.
But we have trained all our lives for this, Orion reasons. For what you are planning, don't you see the evil in it?
No, Orion, Tempest explains. We have trained all our lives for the day that we could overcome that which deprived us and reincarnated ourselves of our own will. We have trained for eons to surmount his greatest expectations. Is that not righteousness?
It's still treason, Orion hisses. Tempest slinks up to him, the fomenting thunderheads from the afternoon sky casting long, rumbling shadows at odd intervals across my listening device.
Your loyalty will destroy you, Orion, he whispered. I do not want my twin brother to be left behind while I bask in the radiance of self-exaltation.
Then there was silence, dark and weighted under the storm. True potential, Orion mutters finally in a wistful tone. I seek only recognition.
And you shall have it,
Tempest declares. An agonizing quiet descends into the room. Neither one spoke for countless heartbeats. I hear Orion sigh, no doubt lost in the dream of such a reality, ever under the anticipatory and watchful orbs of Tempest. When? He finally asks. Where? Tempest grins.
Day after tomorrow, he replies excitedly.
Orion takes a breath. Tempest turns and bends to the floor to pick up his rucksack. He scoops the straps up with his forearm and slings the thing over his pauldron.
Meet me at the edge of the western border, near the breaching mist of the Oblivion.
As he spoke, I discreetly recall his reverse dagger falling from its sheath, making a thud as it landed on the thick rug. With a sigh of frustration, Tempest elegantly bent down to pick it up. I can't come with you now, Orion inquires behind him. Tempest sheathes his dagger and returns it to its strap on the pack.
No, I have some loose ends to tie up first,
he answers as he turns round. But no one was there. Just marble and the dark-hued light of the dusk sun. Orion was gone. I never heard him leave, but Tempest's almost imperceptible groan gave it away. The door closed and I was alone. My first reaction in the flood of adrenaline's vacancy was to brown my shorts, but it does not behove a spy to reek. I could stay and succumb to the adrenal dump with a quaking vacancy of my own, or I could pursue the mission. There is benefit to being a hard charger. You should know all about that, Chiron, given how much the Pathfinders took a shine to you. Of course, you weren't there to watch the Watchers, but I digress. I slink my way out from my concealed position and hasten on Tempest's tail. By the time I catch up with him, he is a shadow within shadows on the city's wall. Thanks for listening, guys. All the links can be found down below for Jonathan, for his social media, and the Amazon links for his books. Also, the Audible links are down there for the ones that we've produced so far. Thanks for listening. Subscribe and like if you want to see more, and we'll see you soon.